This is common knowledge. Because we get stuff from them and they get stuff from us. All right?
When you buy stock and next morning find you lost most of your wealth because the Roman Empire's financiers swindled you, took your money and exchanged it for paper they could deflate in value to zip, stealing it, blame Rome. When you pay for your taxes to the private Federal Reserve Bank, you're paying the real coffers of the Roman Empire. When Palestinians or Iraqis or Germans or Vietnamese are fought, it is the Roman Empire doing the murdering. When a Commonwealth Empire parliament is suspended, it's done under the authority of a Roman imperial representative. It says, the Romans crucified, they say here Jesus, but we know his name is Yahweh Shai. The Roman Empire hidden under different corporate names like some sleazy fly-by-night company, but lasting for millennia. They are the control mechanism of the Illuminati. And we know, beginning with Elder Tar, we've been telling you this for years. That you know, the Roman Empire, we're in the Roman Empire again. America's a part of that. The last leg of the Roman Empire. You know, we've been telling you that for years. But now that Esau's bringing it out and writing about it, now maybe you'll believe it.
Can I say something? Now, I'll be watching like the biography channel. I watch the history channel, which those are the type of channels that for you brothers out there, you should be watching stuff like that. The ID channel, forensic channel, stuff that feeds your brain. On those different channels, man, they have different documentaries. And I believe it was the history channel. Just recently, I saw a now the so-called white man Esau. That, like the elder said, somebody been listening to us. They watching us, so they trying to bring out the same information we bringing it out, so to make it seem like, oh, see, well, we knew that. But we've been the ones saying that for years through the Spirit of the Lord. Look, man, the comparisons of, there was one particular documentary, I don't remember the name, Rome and America, and they were bringing out the comparisons of the Roman Empire, how America mimics the Roman Empire, because it is the Roman Empire, man. Through the Rothschilds, pretty much, when the Rothschilds, really going back to the Borgia family, came into power, it's all been nothing but for Esau to set themselves back up and set the Roman Empire under Esau back in power. Because to fulfill prophecy, because we know in 193, because it said in Revelations the dragon was wounded, right? Now, during that period of that 1,000, yep. Oh, okay, that's the Spirit. Yep. During that period of that 1,000 years of when we came into power, like starting around the period of 193 AD with Septimius and all that, and then the other Israelites that came up into power and started taking down the Roman Empire by way of Israel getting up in there. Okay, prior to that time, when Esau was still in control of the Roman Empire, they was allowing us up into their armies, and then it got to a point where you had Israelites, Jakes, becoming Roman senators and Roman officials. So they took it over, they took it down by just merging with it and pushing Esau out. You got it?
Then enslaving them.
And then enslaving them.
Romans 13:1, and I stood up upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Esau. That's talking about the so-called white man Esau and the different families and the different kingdoms that they had set up. Right? Really, which is the Roman Empire.
It says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So when you go back and break this thing down, it's basically letting you know the origins or the beginning of the beast, and it's letting you know the ending of the beast. The beginning,
which is the Roman Empire, the beast.
That's right, the beast. Yep.
And that began with Alexander the creep, the freak. Okay, because there was actually a picture where he put on, there was like a image of him wearing a leopard's head, because when he came into power, because prior to Alexander, Esau wasn't in power on the planet, man. The other nations were in power, then Israel, we were in power, but then at that point when Alexander, that's referring to that period of the Greeks, starting with the Greeks, which they were all a part of the beast, the Greeks, the Romans, then going into so-called America, man, when the crackers first came over here. Okay.
Yeah, and that beast beginning with the EU and NATO. That's the beast. You know, the dragon that you read about in the scriptures. That's the Roman Empire, right? It says, and then it says that it began with the Greeks, right? It says and and his feet were as the feet of a bear. The bear represents Russia, because Russia is going to be the one that's going to end up bringing you down. It says, and
Russia is referred to as the bear. Even I like that they refer to the Russian bear. They refer when Stalin in World War II, when Stalin was in power and they were fighting, when America and Russia were so-called allies at that time, they referred to it as the big Russian bear, Uncle Stalin, right? Big Uncle Stalin, the big Russian bear. So from that point back at that time, that's when Russia got that phrase of being known as the bear, right? The big Russian bears. And then I'm going to tell you something, to show you that that whole thing was set up by the bankers anyway. It was another documentary on the History Channel I was watching. At first, Russia and Hitler, the Nazis and Russia were allies at first, man. The Russians were allies with the Nazis at first, and then Hitler double-crossed Stalin, and that's when Russia turned against Germany. Because it's all called the theater of war anyway, man. It's all directed, man.
Yep, that's how they directed it, yep. Okay, it says, and the dragon gave him, it says, and in the mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast.
Yeah, because when Esau, when the Roman Empire went down under Esau, when the Edomites, during the time of Yahushua, that's when the Edomites, Caesars and emperors were sitting on the throne. But then, like I said, later on down the road, around the period of like 193 AD, that's when Israel or Jake started coming into power in Rome, and they overtook the Roman Empire, and then the Edomites that were there, they enslaved them. And that situation lasted for 1,000 years, up until the 1400s. All right, the 1400s, when the Edomites started kind of coming back up, they started creeping up in Jake's rule. Because for that 1,000 years, which that 1,000 years is what we know today is the so-called medieval times, or the Dark Ages. That's why the white man calls it the Dark Ages, as really as like an insult or like a mockery, because dark people were ruling. They say, well, yeah, it was the Dark Ages because they were void of God at that time, and there was a lot of witchcraft and sorcery, and they didn't know about the scriptures. That's a lie. You can go right up to the Cloisters Museum, and they show you, man, that them guys, they had the so-called the church. They had those popes. That's when the popes and the Roman Catholicism and the clergy. So even at that time, Israel, they were still so-called, they had that zeal of the Most High. They were dealing with the scriptures, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to go into this too. This is another document, and it's entitled Empire of the City-States, the Crown, Washington, D.C., the Vatican, and I would like you to read that too. Because I want to keep this vibration going, that the reason why the U.S. is involved in this going to war with Syria, because like I said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it, that, the majority of you bird-brained Negroes, back in the 80s and the 90s, Yeshaya and the top guys back there at One West, they used to call their people bird-brained Negroes, backward-ass bird-brained Negroes. Even Mo said that, man. Even Arias said that. And when you come into this thing, you see that. You see that our people are bird-brained and backwards, all right? Because they can't see, they put this clown in the office, and they can't see that he's a puppet, that there's strings, invisible strings attached to him, making him do what he did. You think he just got up and said, look, we should attack Syria? He got his marching orders. Him and that fucking retard Biden, Joe Biden. You know, he just stands there looking stupid. They don't say would have made his ass the president. All right. Go ahead.
And Elder Dog, can I just say one thing to back you up? Now, we were together, me and Elder Dog, the other day, driving around in the car, and it was the so-called anniversary of this so-called the civil rights movement. And the clown, the monkey, Obama, was up there speaking. Me and Elder Tahar was listening to it, and he was giving that so-called speech. And we were laughing, man, and we were getting mad at Jake because he was giving a speech, and most of the people was Jake in the audience. And pretty much, you could see that this guy's a puppet. He was doing a lousy imitation of Martin Luther King. That's what he was doing. And he was speaking, but you could hear that he was mimicking Martin Luther King. That's all he was doing.
Let me say this, and you Jakes that follow Barack Obama, you check out a man's policy, you know? That's all right. That's all right. You check out a man's policy, okay? or his policies as a president or a congressperson or a senator. You check his policies. You don't look at the guy because he has a nice suit and he pats everybody on the back. That's how you Negroes vote for a president, based upon what he looks like on the outside. You know. Now this guy, like I said, he got his marching orders